All right, guys, in this video, we're going to talk about everything that you need to know about double closings. We're going to go over what is a double closing, when should you use them, how do they work, the entire double closing process, and of course, how we can partner up for your next deal, for your next transaction. So let's get right into it. I'm going to share my screen. So what is a double closing? Before I answer this question, I would like to show you first what a normal wholesale transaction looks like. So if you're a wholesaler, of course, there are going to be three parties involved in a wholesale transaction. We will have a seller. They are looking to sell the property. We will have the wholesaler and then the end buyer. Very simple, right? And then the wholesaler is going to use two contracts. He's going to use a purchase and sale agreement between the seller and the wholesaler. Let's say the purchase price is 300,000. And then the wholesaler is going to get an assignment contract between the end buyer for, let's say, $350,000. At the end of the day, what the wholesaler is doing is selling this contract or the terms of this contract for a higher purchase price. So in this situation, the wholesaler makes $50,000. Very simple, right? Now, how is it different on a double closing? Let's get right into it. So a double closing, what does that mean? The two closings happening on the same day, simultaneously or back to back. Double closings, two closings happening on the same day. That's it. Now, how is it different for a normal wholesale transaction? Let's get right into it. Now, as you can see, each party on a double closing is going to have a letter. So let's say that the seller is going to be A party, wholesaler B, and end buyer C. Why? Look at what happens on a double closing. Now the wholesaler needs to use, for a double closing, two purchase and sell agreements. Instead of one purchase and sell agreement and one assignment, the wholesaler needs to use two purchase and sell agreements. So one purchase and sell agreement known as the A to B contract. Why? Because it's between the seller and the wholesaler. Same price, 300,000. And another purchase and sell agreement known as the B to C contract between the wholesaler and the end buyer. Same price, 350. The wholesaler makes $50,000. So as you can see, the big difference as far as like contracts is instead of one purchase and sale agreement and one assignment contract, we use, or the wholesaler uses, two purchase and sale agreements. Boom, that's it. Now, perfect, makes a ton of sense. When should a wholesaler do a double closing? Let's talk about that. Okay, so when should the wholesaler do a double closing? So one reason is the following. The first reason is contract says is not assignable. Maybe the contract that you have with the seller is not assignable. I mean, if you're wholesaling, normally it's going to say there, a clause in there that is assignable. But sometimes you are going to run across sellers that doesn't want to see your contract that is assignable. Maybe you are talking with a seller or agent, and they simply don't want to see that you are assigning that contract. Okay, so you will run across those situations sometimes. So that is reason number one. Reason number two, you want or you are doing business in states with a strict wholesale regulation. So just to name a few states, we have Illinois, we have Oklahoma, Nebraska, Kansas, South Carolina. Okay, sometimes in these states you need a license for you to be able to wholesale, or it's illegal for them. I mean, they not illegal, they just have they have a strict regulations for wholesale. That's it. Okay, so those are the states where you want to do double closings. That's reason number two. Reason number three, hedge funds or big builders, for example, if you are flipping land or for land deals, big builders and hedge funds don't want to see don't want to do assignments. They normally want to see a deed instead of an assignment, a deed transfer. So they simply don't like assignments. Very simple. So another reason, and this is a big one, you want to protect your profit. So here is the challenge. The challenge is that if you are working with a smart seller or end buyer, investor, before closing, there is something called hot statement or settlement statement. What does that mean? Those are just closing documents that they see, where they can see where the money goes on the transaction. Okay, they see line by line, like all the fees, closing costs, everything, right? So in a line there, they are gonna see maybe your LLC or your name, and they are going to see how much you are going to make. So let's say, for example, on this one, you make 50,000, and for the builder that you're working with, maybe it's fine. Now, 50K, it's already a big assignment fee. So if the seller or the buyer sees that you're making this, for some people, it's gonna be a problem for them. It's gonna be like, what the heck? Well, like, why is this person making 50,000? Like he lowballed me for the property, or hey, like, what's going on? I wanted, like, I'm paying you too much for the property. Maybe that's the end buyer. So that's why people want to double close, so you can avoid having those conversations, and like you don't ruin your relationship with the builder or the end buyer, right? The person you are wholesaling the property to. Does that make sense? So another reason is just to protect your profits. Now, something else that I want to share is, if you want to plan to double close your next transaction, do not tell, obviously, the seller and the end buyer that you are going to double close it. Because if you tell them, number one, sometimes investors don't like double closings. And number two, you are going to tell them right away that you are going to make a ton of money on that transaction. So do not tell them that you are doing a double closing. So that's it. That's a tip that I wanted to share. So these are like the main reasons people want to double close on their deals. Maybe you're gonna run across another situation, but that's it. Okay. Now let's talk about the full double closing funding process. Let's say that for your next deal, you want to work together for me to double close on your deal, meaning I'm gonna be bringing the funds for the A to B side. So let's go back right here. If we work together and you say like, hey, I want to double close on my deal. If you double close a transaction, something that I didn't say, you would have to bring these $300,000. Okay. In order for you to sell the property, you need to buy it. So you will need to bring this 300K to the closing table. So not a lot of people have that in their bank account. That is something that I can bring for you for your next transaction. I can do up to $100 million. Okay, so if you want to work together, I'm gonna show you what the process looks like. So first of all, is going to be vetting the deal. So what I'm gonna send to you is, let's say, hey, you send me a message and you say, hey, Tonio, I would like to, can you please help me double close this transaction? I'm gonna say, of course, let's do it. I'm gonna send you my lending website. In there, you're gonna make a submission, a double closing funding request. And one of the things that I want to see, or that you need to have, are the following in order for us to double close on your deal. So number one is going to be, of course, I need to see that you are using two purchase and sale agreements. They need to be signed already. Number two, same day close of escrow for both contracts. So on the A to B contract between you and the seller, let's say it says April 30 close of escrow. On the B2C contract, it also needs to say close of escrow is April 30. Okay, so they need to be, it needs to say the same double. All right, guys, in this video, we're going to talk about everything that you need to know about double closings. We're going to go over what is a double closing, how do they work, when should you use them, the entire double closing process, and then, of course, how we can work together for your next deal or transaction. So let's get right into it. I'm going to share my screen right here. So what is a double closing? Before I answer this, I would like to show you first what a normal wholesale transaction looks like. Okay, so if you're gonna wholesale, there are gonna be three parties involved. Okay, we will have the seller, they want to sell the property. There is going to be maybe you or the wholesaler, and then we will have the end buyer. So the wholesaler is going to use two contracts. He's going to use a purchase and sale agreement between, the wholesaler and the seller. Let's say the purchase price is 300,000. And then the wholesaler is going to have another contract, also known as the assignment contract, assignment agreement between the wholesaler and the end buyer. And let's say the purchase price there is $350,000. So very simple, in this situation, the wholesaler would make $50,000. The difference between these two, 50,000. So at the end, what the wholesaler is doing is just selling the rights of this contract for a higher purchase price. Very simple, right? Now, how is it different if the wholesaler wants to do a double closing? So I'm going to get into that. But first, what is a double closing? The name already tells you what happens is two closings happening back to back or simultaneously or on the same day. That is a double closing. So what happens on the, like, how is it different? What changes, right? So now, as you can see, we have letters for each party. We have the seller known as the A party, the wholesaler as the B party, and the end buyer as the C party. So don't get confused. The only thing that is going to change now are the contracts. So look at what happens. Now the wholesaler is going to use two purchase and sale agreements. Instead of a purchase and sale agreement and an assignment contract, he's going to use two purchase and sale agreements. So as you can see, the purchase and sale agreement here, same purchase price, is also known as the A to B contract or A to B purchase and sale agreement. Why? Very simple again, because it's between the seller and the wholesaler. And another purchase and sale agreement known as the B2C contract between the wholesaler and end buyers. Same thing. The only thing that changes, as you can see, is just two purchase and sale agreements. And the same price here, 350. So the wholesaler also makes $50,000. Boom. So as you can see, the main thing that changes is the contracts the wholesaler uses. Now, okay, it makes a ton of sense. When should a wholesaler or when should you do a double closing? Let's talk about that. So the first reason, as you can see here, it says contract says is not assignable. All right. You might be running into situations where the seller wants to draft their own contracts, or hey, I want my attorney to draft the contracts. And on the contract, it's gonna you won't find any wording in there or any clause that the contract is assignable. So hey, what do you do there? So as you can see here, seller does not want to see your contract is assignable. Either that or the seller makes their own contracts or want to use their own contracts. Maybe you're working with an agent and the contract says it's not assignable. What do you do there? You double close on that transaction. So that's number one. Number two, you are doing business or you want to do business on states with a strict wholesale regulations. So to name a few, maybe you want to do business in Illinois, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Kansas, South Carolina, okay? So in some of those states, for example, you need a license for you to be able to wholesale, or they simply for them, it's like illegal to wholesale. So what investors do, wholesalers do, what they do is simply they double close on their deals. So that's number two. Number three, hedge funds or big builders don't do assignments or don't like assignments. And for example, for land deals, a ton of builders don't want to do assignments. So this happens a ton for land transactions. If you are wholesaling land, this happens a ton. So hedge funds or big builders don't do assignments. That's another reason. This is a big one. You want to protect your profit. Now, to go back to the other example, $50,000, it's already a big assignment fee. I mean, the average, 10, 15, 20,000, I mean, depending on what type of properties you are wholesaling, of course. But that's kind of the average, like 50,000, 75, 100,000, they are already like really good deals to wholesale. Now, what do I mean with to protect your profits? The challenge is that before closing, there is something called closing documents, or also like hot statements, settlement statements. And what happens is that those are documents that the seller and the builder need to sign before closing on the transaction. So on those documents, it's gonna tell you line by line where the money goes, closing costs, debits and credits, certain amount of money is gonna go to seller for the buyer, and some money is gonna go to the wholesaler. So it's gonna show a line in there, and they are gonna see how much the wholesaler is going to make. So if the seller and the builder sees how much you are making, it could be a problem, and they could simply say, hey, you know what, like what's going on? I don't like that you lowball me or whatever, and you are making 50K or maybe more money. And the same thing for the builder or the investor. Hey, I don't I don't want to pay you that much. You know what? You will need to lower your price but in order for us to move forward. Like as you can see, like it's gonna affect the relationship with both parties. Okay, so in order for you to avoid that, you simply double close on your deal. So whenever you feel that it's just too much what you are making, which is it's fine, double close on your deal so that way they don't see how much you are making. Does that make sense? Now, another tip that I want to share. If you plan to double close, do not tell, same thing for if you want to assign it. Do not tell the buyer and the seller that you are double closing your deal. That is going to kill the deal because you are telling them right away that you're going to make a ton of profit. So I've seen this a ton, and where people reach out to me and say like, hey, the builder doesn't want to do assignment, double closings, or the buyer. I mean, they don't need to know that you're double closing, right? So do not tell them that you're double closing your deal. So those are like the main reasons people want to double close. You might run across other situations, right? But these are like the main ones that I've seen. So now I want to show you what the process looks like if you want to double close your deal. Okay? So if we work together, okay, there are steps that I follow in order for me to double close your deal. What does that mean? If you want me to help you double close on your deal, I would bring the entire funds on the A to B side. So let's go back to this example. Something that I didn't say, if you double close on your deal, that means that in order for you to sell that property, you need to buy it, or the wholesaler needs to buy it. So what does that mean? This means that you need to bring the entire funds, the entire 300K to the closing table. So that's when you can partner up with me and I would bring those funds for you, plus closing costs. Okay? So I will bring this money right here for you and double close the deal. So now there is a checklist that you need to have ready in order for me to, like, to say it this way, approve your, let's say, double closing submission. So let's say you want to work together, you make a submission through me, and I'm gonna check on a couple of things before I approve your submission. So this is what I call the first step, vetting the deal. So you need to have this ready, ideally, before making the submission. First, you want to have, as I explained, 2 purchase and sale agreements. You cannot do a double closing if you have an assignment contract. So Do purchase and sale agreement signed. That's the first thing that I want to see. The second thing is same day double close of escrow or closing date for both contracts. So let's say on the purchase and sale agreement with the seller, it says closing date July 13. It also needs to say closing date on the contract, on the B2C contract between you and the buyer, closing date July 13. So it needs to close on the same day. Okay, that's the second thing. The third thing is ideally we use the same title company or closing attorney to handle, both contracts. Okay, you will run across situations where the seller wants to use their own title company and the buyer their own title company. So not good there. Like as far as communication is like a ton of work. It can still be done, but what I'm saying is ideally we just use one title company to handle both sides, if that makes sense. And the fourth thing that I want to see is, of course, the B2C purchase price needs to be higher than the A to B to make a profit. So I need to see enough profit for you to make money after paying all the fees and everything. Okay. So that is as far as vetting the deal. Number two, once that's good, I'm going to tell you, hey, we just approved your double closing funding request. I'm gonna be sharing with you next steps. I'm gonna share with you email with next steps. And the next thing is gonna be you to introduce me with the title company. They need to know, hey, that I'm coming in as your capital partner, blah, blah, blah. So that is the next step, title introduction. Now, the next steps usually happen 1 or 2 weeks before close of escrow, sometimes like even 3 days before close of escrow. Okay, so the next steps that happen between 1 or 2 weeks before close of escrow are the following. Number 3, I am going to be reviewing the A to B HUD, okay? Because, for example, if the purchase price, to go back to the example, if the purchase price was 300K, after closing costs and everything is going to be probably like 312,000, right? 310,000. So I need to see that the A to B HUD, and it's going to include all of that, okay? After that, I send something that is called payoff statement. What that is going to mean is, hey, title company, I'm going to be bringing these funds for, the wholesaler, and please include my fee on the B2C HUD. So review B2C HUD, I tell them to please include that in there on the A to B HUD, and then boom. That's the next step. Review B2C HUD. 6, confirm title company wire information. So let's say we are good with all of these things. This is something that I check with title company, by the way. And number 7, if everything looks good with the title company, I also vet the title company to see if they are legit. I send the funds, okay? And something really important, I wait for the B2C funds first. I get the receipt from the title company, and then I send my funds. Okay, and then of course 8, everybody gets paid. I get my funds back plus my fee. You get paid your profit, your spread. Everybody's happy. Seller sells their property. Buyer gets their investment property. Boom. That's it. That's the entire double closing process, right? Or transaction. Now to end this video, how can I support you on your next deal? Number 1, I can bring the EMD for you. So as a wholesaler, you need EMD right here. I'm going to put it like this. EMD, of course, right here. And then, of course, you're going to ask for an EMD to the end buyer. Maybe for bigger transactions, maybe multi-million-dollar deals, maybe there is an agent in there. Normally, they ask for 1% of the purchase price. So, if we're talking about, I don't know, a deal, 3.5 million purchase price, the earnest money deposit is going to be $35,000. So that is something that I can also fund for you for the transaction. Of course, I also have my own process. to be able to fund that for you. But I'm just telling you that's something I can help you with. So I can help you with EMD for bigger deals, And number two, of course, help double close your deal. I will bring the A to B funds plus closing costs as just explained with the double closing funding process. So that's it. This is everything that you need to know about double closings and what it looks like working together. Oh, what happened here? Let me see. Oh yeah. So if you want funds ready for your next deal, I would suggest that if you're starting to wholesale or maybe you want to do business on states with strict wholesale regulations, let's chat in advance. Like don't tell me that you need funds like 1 week or 3 days before close of escrow. Like let's have everything ready in advance, right, for your deal. So if you want funds for your ready for your next deal, DM me on Instagram. I'm pretty active there. So this is my profile picture. And yeah, send me a message there and see that you want funds ready and let's do it. So that is pretty much it. I hope that this makes more sense now as far as double closings. And I look forward doing a ton of deals together.